Well, hey there, friends. Welcome back to the Jesus Girl Gang Kingdom Business Podcast. I'm your host, Erica Pyle. And today we're going to be talking about the business blueprint that every kingdom builder needs and no one's actually talking about. And this is a thing like, do you have things in your world that like get your goat? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like those pet peeves, those things that just like really like stick in your craw. I'm using every like colloquialism and like phrase that I can think of. But for me, this business, this thing that we need to talk about, but the reason why we need to talk about it, it drives me insane. So let me just get into it. Let me describe a cycle that I bet you know way too well. So you find a new strategy. Maybe it's a course, a podcast, a free webinar, a coach on Instagram that makes it all look so simple, right? You get really excited and you start implementing. And then you get about 80% of the way into implementing, and then something stalls. Something stalls. And the results don't come quite fast enough. The confidence that you had at the beginning when you selected the strategy, it starts to drain. Maybe now you're self-doubting. Maybe now you're doubting the system. There's doubt that's come into the system, right? And instead of finishing implementing that strategy that either you like researched and got, or you maybe paid a lot of money to learn it, instead of finishing it, has this ever happened to you? You go looking for the next strategy. You go looking for the next thing because clearly the one that you were working on that you got 80% of the way through, it didn't work. And so it must be the strategy, right? How many times have you done that? 2, 5, 10? Let me ask you, how many courses have you purchased, workshops or courses, mini courses, products, digital products? How many of those are sitting in your inbox right now that you've started, but you haven't finished? And when I say finished, I don't mean that you've looked through every lesson and you've taken the notes. Because, sister, like I could show you notebook after notebook of me doing that, right? But how many of them are unfinished in the sense that you got through them and you never fully implemented what it was that you learned, right? The problem isn't that, here's the thing. This is what no one's telling you. Because here's the light bulb moment. This industry, this online marketing and business industry, it lives based on you and I buying all these strategies, buying all these courses, these workshops, these digital downloads. This niche, that's what it lives on. Is you and I constantly buying the next thing. So here's what no one in the space is wanting to tell you is that the strategy that you bought, maybe all 8, 10, 12, 20 of them that you bought was fine. And maybe even you are fine. Like you could do it. But the problem is not that you haven't found the right strategy yet. That's not the problem. Okay. The problem is that the strategy, no matter which one it was, no matter which of the 12 or 20 ones that you're looking at that you bought, that strategy was never going to be enough because there's stuff that's missing from that. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. You've been missing pieces because listen, here's the kicker. You've been taught by this industry that you need a strategy. A strategy is what's going to put it together and make it work for you and it's going to bring you success. No, 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 sister. You need a pattern. You need a pattern, and a strategy is just one piece of a pattern. You need the other pieces of the pattern in order to be successful. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But first, if you're new around here, let me just tell you a little bit about me. So I'm Erica. I am a Christian business coach and an online launch strategist. I love helping Kingdom women with launching their businesses online. And I'm also the founder of the Jesus Girl Gang, which is a faith-based coaching community for Kingdom women who are building businesses that generate both impact and income online. And in my past, I spent about 20 years in corporate America doing process engineering at, big four accounting firms, Fortune 500 companies. And now I have been bringing that same precision to helping women build their very own entrepreneurial businesses online, to this online space, to this kingdom space, so that you can have impact and income here. I believe that the same excellence and the same systems and the same mindsets that work in these big billion-dollar businesses, the same strategies, the same systems, the same patterns can work for our small businesses, for our entrepreneurial online businesses. And so that's why I brought it to this space. Now, I'm also a pastor of a local church alongside my husband. I'm a podcaster. I'm a mom of 3 boys, and I'm literally obsessed. Like, I know that we're not supposed to say obsessed if we're kingdom people. I should only be obsessed with God. But my purpose is helping kingdom women to build according to the pattern that God has given them for the purpose of their lives, and specifically building their online businesses and ministries. It's something that I get so excited about every single day to wake up to. And so that is what we talk about in this podcast. And if that is you, if you are one of those women that I just mentioned, then you're going to want to hit subscribe on this podcast and come back every single week at Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern when we stream live on YouTube the new episode. All right. So let's talk about the strategy trap. Okay. So listen, you are not failing at strategy. The issue is that you're expecting a strategy to do a job that it was never designed to do. So the online business world has trained us, like I told you a minute ago, to believe that if we grab a hold of the right strategy, it's going to unlock success like automatically. Like if we find the right funnel, if we find the right content plan, if we find the right launch model, if we find the right niche, that everything's just going to unlock and it's going to work. And I told you the reason why we've been taught this is because there's a whole industry and a whole online marketing and business training industry that is built on us believing that it's the strategy. And if we can just find and learn and implement the right strategy, then everything will work. But that's a lie. It's a lie. But this keeps us continuing on the search, right? We just keep on searching and clicking and watching and consuming, downloading, doing all those things. And the truth is you are implementing. I know that the people who listen to this podcast, you're not lazy. You are not lazy. Sister, listen, I've pulled the data. You are a multi-passionate, very successful, high capacity kingdom woman. You have broad capacity. You are strong. You can multitask in the top 10%. You have been very successful in your past. You are a go-getter. You're like a pioneer type. You're a generational breaker. Like you can handle it. You can handle it. So you've been doing it. You're not undisciplined. You're not lazy. You've been showing up, but it keeps on happening that you hit like this 80%, 85%, and you stall out. And you're like, I don't know why this isn't working. And the reason why I know this is because I did this. This was me. I was the one who was buying all the courses from people who were crushing it. And these were good courses. They were solid strategies. If I told you who I was buying from and what I was learning, you'd be like, yep, yep, yep. And the reality is like, I would get through 80% of these really great courses and then I would stall. Even the ones that had a little bit of support, I like the Facebook community, right? Like I would still stall every single time. This was like the first 3 or 4 years of my business online. And I kept telling myself that the problem was that I hadn't found the right strategy yet. Like literally I would do this. I would get stalled and then I would look at the strategy and I'd be like, "You know what? The reason why this isn't working for me is because the reason why this is specifically not working for me." And I would give the excuse like, well, I am this kind of a business and they are just slightly different, right? Like, so when I started out, I was a holistic health coach and I was in network marketing because I was offering a product that was a network marketing product that really fit well with my niche in holistic health coaching. And so I would watch these things on digital courses or on challenges or, a workshop or whatever. And then I'd be like, oh, the reason why it doesn't work for me is because I'm also in this network marketing niche and, I'm health. And so it doesn't work for me. That was so not true. It was so not true. It's that and I'm gonna get into why it didn't work, but quite frankly, any one of those strategies that I tried, I'd say probably about 70% of the strategies that I bought, and started learning and started implementing, I could have made them work. It was just that I was missing other things, so I couldn't even tell whether that strategy could fully work for me. And we'll get into that. But, you know, I feel like, I don't know, I kept telling myself that the problem was that I hadn't found the right strategy yet. So I'd go find another one. But the strategy hunt, right? Going and getting another strategy and the strategy switching syndrome, that is a symptom. That is not ever going to be a solution to the problem of stuckness. It's not ever going to be a solution to why your business isn't getting built and launched. Okay. So, this strategy switching and strategy hunt, strategy switching, this is the thing that we reach for. I'm just gonna call myself out on it, and maybe I'll bring you into it with me. But this is the thing that we reach for because it's the one variable that we actually think or feel like we can control. Does that hit for you? Because I mean, when I realized that about myself, I was like, yes, that's the thing. Because there are so many variables in launching a business and scaling it to impact and income that whenever there's something that feels like you can control it, that's the thing that you zone in on and you go, you know what? I have to make this one perfect because if I can get this one right, then it solves everything. And that's actually not true. Like, we can't control whether people are going to buy what we're offering. We can't control the algorithm on social media or on YouTube. We can't control our confidence levels on a bad Tuesday. But we can pick a new strategy. So here we are out here just trying to find another strategy over and over. And, here's the part that really stings. Every time that we abandon a strategy and go to find a new one, we are actually reinforcing the belief in ourselves that, wait for it, we are the problem. I know you are like, no, it's the strategy. The strategy is the problem. No, 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 no. But if we keep on going for different strategies and we keep on failing at implementing that strategy over and over, who's the common denominator, right? The person who's trying to implement the strategy and we can't get it implemented. And so subconsciously, we're actually starting to heavily criticize and ding ourselves because we can't get it happening, right? We can't finish, we can't make this work. We can't figure it out. But that's not really what's happening. What's happening is that we're asking just one piece of the puzzle that we need in launching a business and scaling it. We're asking that one piece of a multi piece pattern to do the job of the whole thing. That's the problem. Okay. So let's talk about the root that's actually under this symptom of strategy switching. Okay. The strategy cycle is what you can see, but that's not actually what's driving you to go and keep finding new strategies and switching and partially implementing and then giving up and going for the next one. Okay. Here's a few things that cause this. Are you ready? Number one, self-doubt. Every time you switch strategies, there is a sentence underneath it. And the sentence isn't, well, that strategy was wrong. The sentence is, maybe I can't do this. I know that out loud you might be going, oh, well, it's that I'm not that niche or I'm not that type of a person or, oh, I didn't see. No, no, no. Subconsciously underneath, you're doubting. It creeps in and you start to think, oh, I can't do this, right? And the strategy swap is how you actually avoid dealing with that deeper thought. I know this because I did this. Another one, number two, isolation. You've been building alone. And when you're alone, every single setback feels like a verdict. There's no one around you to say, you know what, that's normal. That's okay. Keep going. Or let's problem solve this real quick. Let's get over this hurdle real quick. Or let's customize this for you real quick. There's nobody around who's like two steps ahead of you that can show you what it looks like on the other side if you just push through in this moment or customize a little bit over here. So when it gets hard, when it feels super, super hard, the only voice in your head is the doubt, the only voice. And that becomes a problem. How about this? Number three, there's no framework, there's no strategy that exists that's actually broad enough and also custom enough at the same time to fit every single person who's buying that strategy. I've thought about this a lot. It's like lightning in a bottle. When I was working in network marketing for years, they used to refer to these people as unicorns, like these people that would get to the top of the business structure in like 12 months. And you were like, how did you jump to the highest category in 12 months, and they would call them unicorns. And so then there was this whole move for a few years where it was like, I'm not a unicorn. We're not unicorns. We just have a system that we follow. Right. And so then she would open up a new offer alongside her seven-figure product network marketing check business. She would open up a coaching arm of her business and she'd be like, let me teach you how to get the same thing. But the reality is that you can never teach a single framework that is broad enough yet custom enough for every single person that's going to come into that strategy. And there's something missing then. So it's the strategy will never be enough. Even if it could be enough. Let me just say it like that. Even if the strategy, the plan, the framework that's being taught to you could be enough, like with my network marketing example, like they were teaching the actual systems, they were teaching the actual scripts that they were using in classes and in the DMs. They were sharing their exact social media sharing plans, all the things. But that is never going to be enough. That framework, it's specific to them, but when they're teaching it to you, it becomes really broad. And then there's no way in that vehicle of teaching the strategy that it becomes custom enough for your business. This is a problem. This is a massive problem. And understand the industry knows this. The market knows this because what I have seen in the last 2 years is an absolute pivot away from straight up digital courses, straight up just workshops, evergreen workshops and courses and recorded stuff, and requiring an experience, requiring a done with you experience where I can get my questions answered, where I can get, face-to-face help. These are demands in our space right now. And I see why. Because this is so frustrating to think, oh, well, you know what? I should just be able to buy this strategy and listen to how she did it or he did it and implement it. And now we're thinking, oh, it's my fault. It's me because I can't get this thing implemented. No, it's because the framework is custom to a particular person. They've then broadened it to try and catch a really wide net of users. And then there's no methodology or vehicle in their offer to help you customize it down to you and your business. Like that straight up is the biggest thing that I'm going to tell you today, because that is the stumbling block. That right there is the biggest stumbling block that we're going to cover today. The other thing is when you're not given systems and infrastructure along with the strategy. So there's the practical reality that you don't have like the same tech setup. Like you might be watching someone teach on a strategy and then you're like, okay, but how did you get that text message to them? How did you get that email sequence out to them? How did you do that landing page? Or like, how does that work on your social media and then the DM automate? Like, how does that work? So if they're not also talking about or giving you the system and the infrastructure that goes along with the framework that they're teaching, then you're going to be lost. And, if you don't have the marketing systems that you need to implement the strategy, if you don't know the tools that you actually need to implement this thing versus even like kind of what we've randomly been told you need, that can really frustrate your ability to implement a strategy successfully. And no one's telling you, oh, by the way, not only do you need this strategy, but you also need this infrastructure or all these systems. Okay. So strategy cannot fix self doubt. It can't. Strategy can't replace community. And strategy can't build your systems for you. Strategy can't give you a guide that can get to know your business and can help to tell you whether you're on the right track or not, or whether you're about to fall into a pit. Okay. And that, my friend, is why strategy alone never works. And it was never supposed to carry all the weight. So let me get biblical on you for a second. Is that cool? Because that's how we do here at the Kingdom Business Podcast. All right, we're always going to bring the Bible into it. And so I want to talk to you about Moses. Listen, God didn't give Moses a strategy. You might be like, listen, God did not give Moses just a strategy. He didn't. He gave him a pattern. He gave him a pattern. Now, this is a theological anchor that I really want you to grab a hold of, because in Exodus 25, verses 8 and 9, okay, God tells Moses, let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell in their midst. God goes on to say to Moses, exactly as I show you concerning the pattern of the tabernacle and all of its furniture, you shall make it. You shall make it. Okay. Now look at what God did here. He didn't say to Moses, here's a strategy, go figure out how to build it. He gives Moses a pattern, and that pattern included everything. Okay. So if you continue on in this passage of scripture and into the next chapters, it talks all about the building out of this tabernacle. And so in the pattern was included these four different things. Are you ready? Number one, the blueprint itself, the framework, the exact specifications, the what to build and in what order. That was the framework. That is the strategy component that we keep on going after over and over and over again. But it was only one piece of the pattern that God gave to him, the blueprint itself. What was number two? God told him specifically the materials. God did not just give instructions, he provided for the build, the gold, the silver, the bronze, the fabric. He resourced what was required. And that's the systems and the tools. Now you might be like, wait a minute, that's confusing me. How did that happen? Well, there's a whole passage in that section of scripture that speaks to the fact that Moses gave a call for the materials. And the people actually brought in the resources that were needed in order to build this tabernacle. Now, you might be like, yeah, Erica, that's the problem. I don't know. I don't have the idea of what system I need. I don't know how to build it. I don't have the resources to build it. I don't know. Well, can I remind you, if you go back in scripture, if you go back to the beginning of this chapter, this is when they're leaving Egypt. And what does God tell them to do? He's like, ask your Egyptian people to give you gold on the way out the door. And God causes the Egyptians to give them every bit of material that they were going to need to build this tabernacle. And so it becomes this supernatural, intertwined way of understanding systems, understanding how we can get the resources that we need, right? It's like believing I can't see the whole system, I can't see the whole thing, but I can believe that God is going to provide for me each step of the way. And it's in this greater pattern that God will do that. You know, we pray about those things, but also if we're inside of community, if we're inside of a place where we have a guide, that cuts down on that tremendously. God can provide through a community and through your guide what it is that you need and how to source those materials, those systems, those platforms that are necessary. Yeah. The third thing that God provided to Moses was the skilled workers. Now, and this is Exodus 31. I know that it's interesting, but God gave the pattern to Moses as a guide. Moses did not build the whole thing by himself. He was a part of a community. He did his part within the community, but there were other people in the community that were participating and building to this greater goal. Now, you might be like, Erica, I don't have a community of people building my business. That's not my point. My point is that when you are a kingdom builder, you're a part of a greater community of kingdom builders, and we do have a common purpose. Do you know what that is? The common purpose is to enlarge the tent of the territory, to expand the kingdom. That is every one of us who has a purpose in the kingdom. The commonality is we grow the kingdom, we expand the kingdom. And so as we come together as a community of kingdom builders, and in my community, we are a community of audacious, spirit-filled, Jesus-following kingdom builders. That's who we are. We are audacious women who are like Luke 8 ladies who want to be out here in these, internet, online business streets, selling things and making impact and income, because that is how we get to fund the ministry of Jesus in the earth. Go look at Luke 8, verses 1-3. You'll know what I'm talking about. And so in Exodus 31, when Moses is given the pattern by God, he's also given these skilled workers. God calls these people by name, and then it says that he fills them with his spirit and he gave them a skill in craftsmanship. So Moses didn't build alone. God sent people with specific gifts to build alongside him. That is community. That's coaching. That's having people in the room who carry what you don't. And this is one of the things that I think that we forget about as this high capacity kingdom building woman who knows that she's audacious. She can handle a lot. I can figure it out, right? You're like, I can figure it out. The Bible doesn't tell you anywhere to figure anything out, right? It says to trust God, to obey. And in the Bible, apprenticeship and going in community is the way that we build things in the kingdom. And so while these people that are in a community that you join that are like-minded and like-spirited and going in the same direction of building their kingdom business or ministry alongside you, this actually helps you, not because they're getting into your business, but because they actually can sharpen you alongside you. And they have gifts and talents and skills and mindsets that you may not have yet. And likewise, you to them. And so when you're in this community and you're getting that self-doubt coming at you, you're criticizing yourself maybe, or you're doubting a strategy, or you're doubting something that you're trying, and you're getting petered out and you're ready to quit, that's when you can have a community of women around you that are like, no, no, girl, this is what you said God said to you. This is what he promised to you. This is what your goal is. This is what you are assigned to do. Don't give up now. And they can start to come alongside you and sharpen you. That's what's missing when we don't have the community piece of the pattern. Yeah. And then number four, this pattern that God gave to Moses, number four thing that he gave in the pattern is his presence, God's presence overseeing the build. See, God didn't hand Moses the pattern and walk away. He stayed in the process, the pillar of cloud, right? The pillar of fire, constant guidance, constant course correction, as long as Moses would go and meet with him, right? That's coaching relationship right there. That's having someone who can see your build and say, yes, keep going, or whoa, whoa, stop. Let's take a moment. Let's look at a pivot. Let's look at a course correction here. See, Moses had the full pattern. He had the framework, he had the resources, the community of builders, and the presence of God directing the process. That is what produced ultimately the tabernacle, not just a strategy, a full pattern. And yet we out here thinking that we need to build an entire kingdom business from just a strategy. Do you see the insanity? Do you see what we've been sold? And do you see how it messes with our confidence? Do you see how it messes with our identity and our ability to believe that we can do this? Listen, here's the reframe. A strategy is someone else's partial plan. A pattern is God's blueprint for your build. Yes, a pattern always includes a strategy, but it includes more than just a strategy. Does this make sense? Make sense? So the four things that strategy can't give you. Let's just review, okay? Bring it back to your business. Apply Exodus 25 and what we just talked about strategically to what you're building. What does this mean for you? The four things that strategy can't give you that you absolutely need. Number one, a framework broad enough for you to build by, not someone else's that's so custom to them. And then they broaden it out. And then it's like, okay, but how does this work for me? And what I think I'm saying in this is that it's not just about downloading a digital blueprint and going, okay, how do I do this? There has got to be some level of customizable involved in that framework. And you, at the very least, need to have the ability to ask questions. You need to at least have the ability to submit questions and get some help in terms of how does this apply to my business? And I got to tell you, a lot of offers out there that teach strategy, they refuse to do that because they've got too big of a business and they don't feel like they can get into the trenches with you, and they don't have the time, they don't have the capacity, and that's where they're going to lose you. You need to stop buying strategies from people who can't also get into the trenches with you to a certain extent and help you to understand how it works in your business. Now, I understand they may have to offer that for a little bit more money, but you need to be looking for strategies that have that customizable help. Second, you need coaching from a guide who can actually look at your build. And this is what I was kind of referring to in that subpart of the first one. You need someone who can actually has the time and the capacity and the willingness to look at what you're building and tell you if you're on track. Now, I get it. Like that little thing sticks in you that goes, I should be able to do this on my own. I should be able to figure this out. Well, you could, but understand that I did that for like 4 years and it tanked my momentum. I could not get going because I kept on insisting that I had to do it on my own, you know? And a course isn't going to do this for you, right? A course that you watch is not alone. You need a person. You need a guide. You need someone who carries both. Listen, I believe this. You need someone who carries both spiritual authority to speak into your calling and help you with your mindset, your biblical mindset, and also has the biblical expertise to help you with whether your offer is properly positioned and whether your messaging is gonna hit. You need someone who can say, that's the right move, or whoa, 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 we're overcomplicating this, or we're twisting to the wrong place. Let's back it up a second and let's get clear. Okay. Number three, you need a community that will not let you stop at 80%. Now, listen, I know this is a little bit contrarian and might be a little bit provocative. If you know me and if you've been around me for, a couple of years, you know that I have a very hot take on codependence. Like I am like zero codependence in my camp. Okay. So when I say to you, number three is you need a community that won't let you stop at 80%. I don't mean people that are gonna be helicoptering your business and, like, getting in your business and telling you what to do. No, 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 no. You need women who are so sold out on believing what God said about their business coming to pass, and that believe that it is God who's responsible for the output, the harvest, but it's their job to just keep moving according to the word. Stay in trust, in obedience, and keep moving. Steadfastness, consistency, and resilience. These are the three keys to our mindset. And so if you get into a community where all of the women have that level of mindset and they just know no matter what, if God said it, that settles it, I'm going to keep moving forward, then chances are that when you get into that community, it puts something into the atmosphere so that it's easy for us to all keep going. Does that make sense? And here's the deal, you were never meant to do this alone. I don't know where we as women got this idea that as entrepreneurs, we're supposed to figure it all out on our own. I feel like that's a strategy of the enemy. I feel like when, back in biblical times, women didn't even do like household stuff and child rearing on their own. Families, units lived together. There were multi-generational family units. There were extended families that lived together. There were villages that came together. And yet here we are in 2026 and we are believing this lie that we have to figure it all out on our own. And I think part of it comes from everyone's overwhelmed, everyone's overloaded. And so we can't possibly ask him. Well, guess what? Find a community of like minded, like spirited women who are going in the same direction as you, building a kingdom business or ministry, and get into that community because we're already doing that. We're already moving in that direction. And as long as you've got that biblical entrepreneurial mindset, that kingdom mindset going, and you're not going to negotiate on it, then that guarantees the atmosphere, the sound that's in the atmosphere that's not going to let you stop at 80% because it's just a culture point. It's just something that happens in the community. And I can guarantee you, because in my community, the Jesus Girl Gang community and the Build with Faith mentorship that I guide, that I lead, this is the number one piece of feedback that I get. Like when I ask people for their testimonials or for like their feedback of how they experienced my business blueprint program, which is an 8-week coaching program, or my mentorship, the most common piece of feedback that I get is, I've been trying to do this for 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, and I accomplished in 2 months what I couldn't accomplish in 6 years. That is a massive, massive statement. And that is because of what I just said about community and not letting you stop. It's not that I got into their business. I didn't get into their business. I taught them a framework that was broad enough for her to apply to her business, but also I gave her coaching from the beginning that helped her to put that framework on her business and know exactly where she needed to take it. And then I brought her into a community of other like-minded and like-spirited women who were doing the same thing. And those things all together, plus number four, is what got them that kind of breakthrough and momentum. Number four is systems and a platform to build on. Look, you need, I don't care when people are like, oh, you can build in the pockets of your day, you can build it from your phone. Like, you don't need a lot. Okay, listen, I understand that if you've got a Stripe account and you've got a link, you could get your business happening. Okay. But if you don't have some form of automation in these streets, in this day and age, you're gonna wear yourself out and you're not gonna be able to scale. And you're never gonna be able to make like 6 figures a year. You can't. Like, you will not be able. Can you make 5 figures a year on that kind of a strategy? Sure. But you're going to wear yourself out. So you do need an actual infrastructure if you're going to have a real business that has impact and income, makes impact and income online. And you need marketing systems. You need to understand marketing because the key to you having a business that makes impact and income is dialed in messaging. That is a key. You also need tools. You not duct tape together. Okay. Don't bring me your duct tape together tech stack and then be like, it's not working. Of course it's not working. Of course it's not working because you went out looking for all the free trials of everything that you thought you needed. And now you're trying to figure out how they all work together. And the free versions don't. Just understand the free versions don't talk to one another. So you're going to be still doing everything yourself. And you also, I believe you need an actual platform where all of these things come together, where your website, your email, your landing pages, your sales pages, your funnels, all of that can live in one place because this actually brings a lot of calm and clarity to your nervous system, sister. Like, I cannot say enough about finding a good all-in-one business platform. I got one if you need one, but I don't just sell a platform. I sell all 4 of these things because why? Because you need a pattern. I tried just selling my platform, and you wanna know something? All the people that came into just the platform, within months, they were asking about my coaching because it wasn't working for them just with the platform. They were like, "I need the marketing strategy. I need some help. Can you put your eyes on my business?" I was like, "You know what? I'm done just selling this as a separate platform." So now I sell an all-in-one mentorship, and it has everything in it. It's got the framework, it's got the coach, it's got the community, and it's got the system. It's got the platform in it, okay? So here's the thing. Here's what I need you to hear. I I am not just telling you this because I'm going to try to sell you something down the road. Will I open up an offer soon where you can come into my world and you can see if my pattern is right for you? Sure. In mid-June, we're going to be opening up the launch lab. Okay. A little bit before that, we'll open up registration and stay tuned next week because I am going to give you a special offer. If you're a podcast listener or if you are a subscriber to my email list, I am going to give you a special offer, like a priority offer, if you register for the launch lab earlier than when I open up general registration. So if you want to know how it works with me, and if you want to know about my pattern, I pull back the curtain in the launch lab and I teach you everything about my pattern. So, but that's not why I'm sharing this with you. I'm sharing this with you because this not knowing this actually held me up for my business for almost 6 years. And it caused so much emotional and mental turmoil for me. I am a breakthrough girl. I am a generational breaker. And I got to tell you something, things always work out for me. I lived a charmed life, a blessed life for like the first 30 something years of my life, and everything just worked. And then I walked into a crucible. I asked God to use me, and things pivoted very quickly in my early 30s. And all of a sudden, it became a refining season, it became a wilderness season. And part of this was me learning how to build a business online. And I did all of these things that I talked about today, and it slowed me down incredibly. You know, I wound up building this pattern with God because of all the mistakes that I made and because of all the things that I saw out in the marketplace that weren't working. So, everything that I just described, the full pattern, the framework, the coaching, the community, the platform, I built it because I spent years looking for this exact thing, including the kingdom discipleship. I spent years, like, I'm not even kidding, sometimes on the floor crying in the fetal position because I just needed help and I couldn't find it. And when I couldn't find it, God told me, it doesn't exist like that. You go build it. And so I did. It's called the Jesus Girl Gang. And it's inside. That's the community that inside of that, I built the mentorship called the Build with Faith mentorship. And that's where I walk women through the full pattern together. I walk through it with you, framework, coaching, community, platform, systems, all of it together. And I also include discipleship in that. So, like I said, I'm about to open the door to that. It'll run in mid-June. You'll hear about it next week if you want to jump in on it early. But if that's something that makes your spirit light up, like if you're like, Erica, that's exactly it. I've been trying to build according to this strategy or these different strategies, and I keep on getting stuck. And I didn't realize until now that this is what I needed, that this is the solution. And sister, The Launch Lab is your next best step. Okay. So keep your ears open and be sure to catch next week's episode because I'm going to be putting out a special offer just for the people on the podcast and on my email list. Okay. So I'll tell you about that priority access in just a second. So the last thing, okay, before you buy one more course, before you try to figure out one more strategy, before you do any of that practical, pragmatic stuff, I want to ask you this question because we got to bring it back. Got to bring it back to kingdom. We got to bring it back to our walk with God. Have you actually asked God for the pattern? Because the last thing that I want you to do is to hear this episode and think, well, I just need to mindlessly just join Erica's thing. Can I stop you for a second? I want you to pray about it. I have a tool for this. I mean, like I know that prayer is the thing, but sometimes when I say to somebody, you need to pray and ask God for the pattern, you need to pray and ask God what he says about that. They're like, Erica, that never works for me. So I built a prayer template. Like I put together a prayer template. It's called the 4 questions prayer template. And it's a set of 4 questions that you ask God in prayer. And this is how I've helped women most effectively to sit with God and actually hear from God directly what is the pattern. And it's very clear when you go through it like this, is my pattern for you? Is a different pattern for you? Is there a different way for you to do this? I am more concerned with you doing what you hear God saying than that you ever buy anything from me. Okay? This is super important to me. Because here's what I see happening with most of the women that I talk to. They've tried the 5, 10, 15 strategies, right? They've spent like literal hundreds and thousands of dollars on courses. It's very frustrating. But when I ask them, it's like, oh no, well, I didn't sit down and ask God because building a business is a pragmatic thing. It's a practical thing. And so I just was looking what was working for other people. And so they immediately started buying according to strategy. But what would happen if you sat and asked God, what is the pattern I should follow for how to build this business? So that's why I built that prayer framework. 4 questions. And the very first question is, God, what do you see and say about this? So before you pick up another strategy, before you buy another course or program, before you sign up for the free webinar, ask him, say, Lord, is this the pattern? What do you say about this pattern? Take my pattern before him and say, is this the pattern that I should be building by? And it might not look like nothing that those previous courses taught you. Hear God on it, okay? And listen to God. Because a lot of us skip this step. We go straight to Google, AI, Instagram. We go straight to the expert that's the 7 or 8 figure earner, right? And then we wonder. And I just don't want you to keep on going through that cycle. So I want you to have the 4 questions per template. You can find it inside of the Kingdom Builders Mindset Toolkit. I've been talking about this for a few weeks. Just go to ericapile.com/toolkit and you can find that toolkit. You can download it for free. Okay. So I want you to do 2 things before you invest in anything else. First, I want you to grab that free Kingdom Builders Mindset Toolkit because inside of it, you're going to find that 4 questions per template that I just mentioned. Sit down with God, run your business through those 4 questions, ask him what he sees, what he says about your next step, and let him download the pattern before you go shopping for the next strategy, course, program, whatever. There's also something called the Thoughts Exchange worksheet in that mindset toolkit. And I want you to take this sentence, I just need to find the right strategy and it'll finally work. If you have ever dealt with that, I want you to write that down and use it through the Thoughts Exchange worksheet because that worksheet is designed to capture whatever thought that is a lie or a fear or a roadblock in your world that you know is just not true. And it helps you to exchange that thought for the truth. It's based on 2 Corinthians 10:5, right? Take every thought captive and make it obedient to Christ. So that's just another worksheet that's available inside of that toolkit. So go to ericapile.com/toolkit and you can download that toolkit that has both of those worksheets. Okay. Don't forget, if this is sounding like, yes, this is the pace that I need to be on, this is the journey I need to be on, make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you come back on Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern and we keep on doing this together. And especially come back next week because that's when I'm going to be telling you about the priority access for the Launch Lab. Okay. So I've been actually refreshing the Launch Lab. I've run the Launch Lab a few times, but I've been adding extra goodies to it. And this is perfect for the kingdom building woman who's audacious and she realizes It's not a strategy. I need a pattern. Okay. When you're ready for the full pattern, the Launch Lab is for you. I'm going to open that door. It's going to happen in mid-June. And the women who are on my wait list, okay, you're going to be the ones who get the special pricing for that. So if you download the toolkit, you get onto my email list. The other way is if you come next week, you can get onto it too. Actually, go to ericapile.com/launchlab. And that is the wait list. You can just put your name on the wait list right now. And then as soon as we open the priority registration, which is actually going to open before the podcast next week. So if you want to get onto that before next Thursday, when it first opens, then go to ericapile.com/launchlab and you can hop onto the wait list. Okay. All right, sister, listen, you do not need another strategy, but what you do need is the full pattern. And the pattern has always included more than just that strategy, right? It includes the room, the guide, the framework, the tools to build. And I believe also that fire coaching discipleship experience, the same thing that God gave Moses when he called him to build that tabernacle. He wants to give you the same. All right. So stop shopping, start asking God. And when you're ready to build with the full pattern, I'll be right here. All right. That's all for now. I'll see you next week.